So if tongue and lip ties were just a tissue problem at the floor of the mouth, then why do so many babies still struggle after they're released? Why do adults with no visible ties still have airway issues or jaw pain and TMJ issues, poor posture, or even chronic tension in the body? The truth is that ties under the tongue, under the lip, at the cheeks, they're rarely the root problem. The tension is. And here's another truth that nobody is telling you. When your baby with a tongue tie also struggles with reflux, colic, constipation, or can't sleep lying flat, the tie isn't the whole problem. It's a sign that your baby's nervous system is stuck in stress mode and struggling with nervous system dysregulation. Now, this is a problem that goes at least one level deeper than the tongue, the lip, or the cheek ties themselves. Now, research actually shows about 10% of babies have a true tongue or lip tie. But the babies who also have digestive issues, sleep disturbances, and they can't calm down, those are not four separate problems. That's one nervous system showing up in four different ways. The digestive, the parasympathetic or the calm side of the nervous system not coming on board, the muscles or the neuromotor system just being so tight and tense. Now, the revision addressed the tissue, right? But if the nervous system remains tense, tight, and stuck, the body recreates the restriction, and a perfect storm of neurological dysfunction likely still marches on. Now, it's not surgical failure, it's your baby's body trying to protect something deeper. So this video is for the parents who feel like you've done everything right with the tongue tie release, or lactation consultants and sleep training or sleep consulting or whatnot, but yet feeding and the sleep challenges are still persistent. Or you're watching this with a toddler or a young child who had their ties surgically revised years ago, but now still struggle with the sensory issues, with food aversions, with speech delays, with motor tone and coordination issues, or even developmental concerns. You're going to discover why ties often come back, or why struggles continue even after the perfect surgical technique. You're going to understand that the nervous system connection and the foundational root cause that most providers are missing. And you're going to learn how addressing the foundation first changes everything, not just with feeding, but with sleep, with digestion, and your baby's ability to regulate and to calm. So we worked with a family whose daughter struggled from the moment that she was born. She couldn't stay latched. There was the constant clicking during feeds. And mom remembers those first hours. All that she did was cry. Visitors at the hospital gave those yikes. Oh man, that sucks. Here's your baby back. All those looks and all those gestures because she was just not content. And for months, they struggled to nurse. She was constantly gassy, constantly fussy. And if she wasn't being held, she'd arch her back, she'd cry. And basically, you could see that discomfort. A 5-minute car ride would set off the entire family because she would cry the entire time. So they pursued a tongue tie revision. But here's what made the difference. What they did was that they addressed her nervous system both before and after the procedure. And mom kept this little girl's adjustment frequency higher because of all of the stress on the body as it was trying to make changes, as it was trying to recover from the surgery, and then gain the functional mobility and changes post procedure. And so she could see visually in her little girl's body how relaxed after each adjustment. Now, the breakthrough was a trip to California where she was able to, do incredibly well through plane rides and car rides and restaurants and sleeping in a new environment in a really real way. And now today, she's full of energy. She's loving life. No struggles with eating, no struggles with talking, no struggles with digestion. She's crushing it. So tongue ties are most often a symptom, not the root cause within the body. So one thing that we talk quite about is neurological tone versus soft tissue or muscle tone, right? So neurological tone dictates the tone in the soft tissues or in the muscles of the body. So when your baby's nervous system runs in high stress mode, We call that sympathetic dominance. The muscles throughout the body stay tense. When we think about sympathetic dominance, we're talking about the fight, flight, freeze state. So, a lot of times, because we are going to survive in that fight, flight, freeze state, things are going to get super tight, intense, including those tiny muscles and the fascia in those tissues around the tongue, around the jaw, and throughout the entire body. So you can think about the nervous system like a car with two pedals. We have the sympathetic side, like we just talked about. That's our gas pedal. It's for mobilizing energy, it's for increasing our heart rate, creating muscle tension for protection, right? It's survival mode. Then we have our parasympathetic and the vagus nerve side. This is what we call the brake pedal. It's activating the calm, it's activating relaxation, regulation, digestion, sleep. Now, when stress and subluxation is present, right, the dysfunction within the body, especially within the upper neck and the cranial bones, the gas pedal gets stuck on and it stays stuck. And the brake pedal doesn't work. Your baby's entire body stays in fight or flight protection mode. Now, the body then creates tissue restrictions as a protective response to the deeper dysfunction. So, ties are compensatory protections, not the root cause themselves. The tongue is actually neurologically and fascially connected from head to toe. And when there's tension anywhere in that body or in the system, the tongue often adapts by tightening, by shortening, or appearing tied. Now, these tension patterns within the body, they start early, but they also stack over time. So these tension patterns within the body, they often start early and they stack over time. There's quite a few factors involved when we're looking at this. There's prenatal and maternal distress, there's birth interventions and trauma, toxins, nutritional deficiencies. All of this layers tension and the stuckedness into the system. But the question is, why do some babies have ties while others don't? It's the accumulated stress during critical developmental periods. So, prenatal stress in the sympathetic nervous system for both mom and baby becomes frequently overstimulated and often hardwired. If we think about stress on the system, things that fire and wire together stay stuck, becomes hardwired for that stress over time, altering how the baby's nervous system then develops. There's the birth intervention side of things with forceps and vacuums and C-sections, inductions, prolonged labor. All of this applies significant force, physical stress, and trauma to the delicate upper neck, the cervical spine, and the cranial bones. Now, this creates what we talk about in the office as subluxation or stress stuck onto the body, right where the vagus nerve and the other important cranial nerves that control tone and tension, the muscles of the tongue, the soft tissues, and the fascia, all the way around the head and the neck. Now, our vagus nerve and the other cranial nerves control tongue movement, the jaw coordination, the swallowing reflexes, digestion, heart rate, emotional regulation, and immune function. Now, when cranial bones compress at the base of the skull during birth, it actually affects the vagus and the hypoglossal, which is the one for the tongue. And this is why your baby with feeding challenges also has reflux, has colic, and they can't sleep. They're not separate issues. It's one nervous system that's stuck in stress mode. So, this is why releasing the tie is often not enough. So, without addressing the tension, function doesn't fully change. Nervous systems still stuck in the fight or flight and sympathetic dominance. The muscles don't know how to relax. So there's the postural movement and breathing patterns that are not changing as well. So addressing the foundation first is what creates real and lasting change. So to be able to create that real lasting change, it requires activation of the vagus nerve and the parasympathetic side or that brake pedal side of the nervous system, because that's what allows for the body to activate that rest, relaxation, regulation side. There also has to be the structural balance and proper alignment side of the conversation. Because if this is not restored, the stress, the tension, subluxation, those dysregulated patterns come right back. And if our nervous system doesn't feel safe, the body will retighten. And that's why tension care before and after a release is so dang critical. Now, the cool thing is the positive side effects of getting your baby adjusted is that their sleep improves, their digestion improves, the congestion starts to clear up, especially when we're working on those cranial bones. And your baby is happier, they're more regulated, and they're more connected. And these are the signs of a nervous system shifting into a balanced and a regulated state. So sometimes the journey to get here on the outside is not so easy and straightforward for our little ones. And they end up getting stuck in stress and tension mode. Now, neurologically focused chiropractic care works to release and clear out that underlying nervous system tension so that everything can shift and improve, not just feeding, but for sleep, comfort, digestion, and their ability to thrive. So, if you're ready to address this foundational component, instead of just chasing the symptoms or going back for another revision, comment the word ties below and we'll send you the educational resources and a link to get scheduled with our office, Haven Family Chiropractic, right here in Katy, Texas. Your little one and your entire family deserve root cause solutions that don't just chase the symptoms, but they get all the way into that foundation because that's where lasting results truly come from.